Okay, how's that? Can you guys hear me now? There we go. Uh, I moved some USB ports around recently, so just before this stream, the reason it took a bit longer to get the stream going is because the webcam was not being registered. So I should have paid attention to the mic as well, thinking that would not be registered either. So yeah, anyway, what I was saying was it's great to see you all again. It feels like a while, like it feels like this stream came so quickly, but it also came so late. So it feels like I'm doing another stream again very quickly, but it feels like I've not seen you guys in a while, even though it's just been a week. So yeah, it's great to see all you again. Miles, great to see you here, buddy. Jess is here, Batman235 is here, Fireboy, Trevor, Ethan's Drawings, Tom Bailey, Crazy Cat Lady, who's editing one of our videos right now. Oh, cool. Well, I'll definitely give it a watch once you got it uploaded. Let me know when it's up. Rohan, I'm doing good, buddy. How are you? The Movie King 3000. Khan is here, as always. Joshman says, how are you doing, Eric? Looks like we might have even more bad news related to the MCU. Indeed we do. There's, in fact, the bad news for the MCU is so bad, I thought, how about we just make this an MCU special? This is actually really quite... Well, I'll save that for the video when I talk about it. You know what? Let me just change the title of this stream. I think it requires a different title, if it can fit, that is. Let's see, give me a second. There we go. MCU Special. So I've just changed that title. And there we go. So yeah, it's very unfortunate what's going on in the MCU. It's like, well, I was gonna just say what I was gonna say in the section of the video. I'm gonna hold off on that because I want to just refrain from giving you any of my thoughts, and you'll see my thoughts when we get to the actual story. So yeah, let's see. The G Gamer says, not gonna lie, I'm kind of surprised there wasn't a part 2 Nintendo Switch stream because of all the news that happened a week or two ago. Yeah, the reason there is not another stream is because I'm making a video instead. So, if you want to know why, that's the reason why. In fact, I'm going back to one of the older videos I did when I made a video about the iPhone X, and I made a video after that, the year after, when Apple had another phone out. I made videos talking about the iPhone and how I thought that they were just very bad. I'm essentially going to be doing the exact same thing with the Nintendo Switch 2, so don't worry, I'll be talking about the Switch 2. Movie King says, no Supergirl stuff? Not really, because we talked about it on Patreon. If you join Patreon, we've got essentially what is like a Discord server there. And we basically talk to each other there, and it was brought up, and I did take a look at it. And I also got sent a video as well in the chat there. So if you want to hear us talk about it, we were talking about it there. There's not too much to say about it at this point. It's not the greatest quality footage. So that's why I did not decide to make a video on the Supergirl thing, because I didn't think it warranted it. When we get a better look, then I will. But as of right now, the thing that we want to be talking about is Superman, not Supergirl yet. So there'll be a time and place to talk about Supergirl, but I just don't think it's quite now is the right time. Batman235 says, James Gunn or Kevin Feige? We'll be talking about that when we talk about the Fantastic Four, so I'm not going to give any of that away. Ooh, hold on a second. There we go. Light up the background a bit. So hopefully everything is evened out. Cool. That looks better. Alright, are you going to watch The Last of Us Season 2? I wasn't really, but we'll see. The reason why is because I wasn't a fan of the first season. I kind of dropped off of watching it because I thought that everything it was trying to do, I felt like the game did it better. Even the performances were better. The staging of the scenes were better. So I was like, the first season was great. I don't need to watch the first game was great. I don't need to watch the first season of the show, personally. It wasn't really doing much for me. But I might watch Season 2. I might. It depends if they change the story, because I think the story was very... it was just all over the place in the second game, and it's why I did not buy the game, even though originally I was going to. So let's see what they do. I have a feeling they're going to want to use Pedro Pascal a lot more, so hopefully they'll shift the story around, I think. Jess says, I'm getting The Last of Us Part 1 remake next month, but it's the PS5 version. I think the better version of The Last of Us Part 1 is the PS4 remaster version, which I've actually got in my collection back there. It just looks the best to me, I think. And it also runs at 60 FPS. Goat says, hi Eric, my birthday's in 2 days. Oh, that's fantastic. Happy birthday to you, buddy. Also, I'm just going to let you guys know, you might see that it says here, do you see it says 0 out of 10? That's a YouTube goals thing that they've basically got. So I thought, why not use it? If I get 10 $10 donations, then by the end of the stream, 10 $10 super chats, then by the end of the stream, I will prolong the stream for a bit longer. So that's basically a little fun goal I thought right there. And as always, if you want to ask your questions or anything, then by all means, that's the way to do it. And also Streamlabs also really helps in a great way too. So yeah, if I get 10 Streamlabs super chats, then I'll do the same thing then. I'll prolong the stream. So that's 2 ways you've got there. Methods to prolonging the stream if you want me to stick around for longer. And we have a lot to talk about today. I Hate Anime says, I made it. I'm so glad you made it, buddy. This is going to be really fun. We've got a lot to talk about here. I Hate Anime says, what's the difference between Patreon and YouTube memberships? It's really just giving you choice, because there are some people that did not want to donate to Patreon, which I was quite surprised by, because Patreon is a well-known sort of like way of content creators getting support from their audience. But there are some people that were like, yeah, I don't want to make an account on Patreon. I was like, oh wow, okay then. So that's what YouTube memberships is for. It's basically a way of saying, if you don't want to do it through Patreon, then do it through YouTube memberships. But if you can do it through Patreon, that would be the best way. And through Patreon, you get the perks in a way where YouTube can do copyright claims, Patreon doesn't. So that means that if I do a trailer reaction on there, there's a better chance that it won't get blocked worldwide or something. But I basically tried to bring all my content from Patreon over to YouTube memberships. So yeah, but I would definitely recommend doing it through Patreon. Let's see. But there is one perk you get on YouTube members that you do not get on Patreon, which is live Let's Watches. And soon I will be watching Loki live, the season 1, and you guys can watch it with me live. So that will be for YouTube members only. If you get the most basic YouTube members perk, then that's what will happen. We can all watch Loki live together, and you can see me watch it for the first time. And then we can try that with other shows too. So that's the idea behind that. The Movie King says, are you taking a break from Daredevil Born Again? I just got very busy, is what the thing is. So, I've recorded some of my reactions, but I've not gotten around to editing them. But don't worry, I will be getting right back to it. And then I'll get the reactions up there on Patreon for you to see, and on YouTube memberships as well. So, yeah. Batman 235, I think Superman did have some reshoots, but not the heavy reshoots that happened with that happens with the MCU movies. Let's see. Chris Thompson says, how to become a member? Does it require money? Yes, becoming a YouTube member does require donating to your to your favorite content creators. It basically helps keep the lights on. So yeah, so anything you do with that, it's entirely your choice which perk you want to go for. But just know it really does help and support me and allow me to try and do this for a living, which is what the ideal scenario would be. That's the dream, essentially. Batman 235 says, additional photography, not reshoots. Ah, that's what it was. So yeah, they're doing it right down there. Even using practical, shooting on practical location. That Supergirl footage that was shown, where they're filming that movie right now, it was done practically as well. So yeah, I like what they're doing with the filmmaking down there. So yeah, now I'm gonna tell you one thing. Before we get to the stories. I've said that whenever you do super chats or Streamlabs chats, I'll answer your question immediately. What I've decided to do now is for everyone to basically, anyone who does a super chat or a Streamlabs chat, if you do it, once I finish the story, I will get to the super chat questions first. So that's what I'll do. That will be a more organized way of doing it. So that way I can maintain focus on the story, but then I get to the super chat and Streamlabs chat's questions first before I actually start answering questions in the live chat. So that's what I'll do now as a way of structuring the live stream. So hopefully things can be a bit smoother that way. And all of you who have done your super chats or Streamlabs chats that way, I can answer all your questions in one go that way. So that's what we'll be trying to do. And as always, I've got my trusty book right here, so anytime you guys donate, I'll write it down. And as always, the donations really do help, so they will really be appreciated. Alright, with that said, who's ready to get onto the story about Fantastic Four? Let me just get my notes up, and then we can get started. Alright. Here we go. We're about to get into the Fantastic Four story first. Huh, what's that behind the poster? Oh, it's me. How could I forget? You can't see me, can you? Hang on. You know what? Let's just get rid of that poster altogether. Because it looks like I did not account for that, which is bizarre. Usually I do. Let me just double check if everything else lines up correctly. Yeah, I think that lines up well. Okay. Now, what you see here, this is a picture of the Fantastic Four cast where they did an interview with Entertainment Weekly. Now, the article reads, "Welcome to the retro future, inside the Fantastic Four's first steps into the MCU." Inside the Fantastic Four's first steps into the MCU. The Fantastic Four First Steps stars Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Ebon Moss-Bachrach, I hope I said that right, and director Matt Shakman, who reveal how this movie is different from what you've seen before. Now, that was one thing. When I read that, I was like, what do you mean? Like, different from what we've seen before can be good, but when Marvel say different from what we've seen before, lately that has been giving us some warning signs. And lately that has really made us concerned. It's like, just what do you mean that it's going to be different from what we've seen before? How different is it going to be? And are you going to change it for the good, or are you going to change it for the worst? Is this going to be a change for the better or for the worst? Now, quite frankly, there are two things in this article that rub me the wrong way. The first is when it comes to Johnny Storm, and the other is with Sue Storm, based on what the actors have said. Now, this is what is said about Johnny Storm. Johnny is Marvel's archetype of a hothead teenager, but what exactly that means has been open to interpretation over the years. In the 2005 and 2007 Fantastic Four movies, for instance, Chris Evans played the character as a skirt-chasing scallywag. Quinn wanted to do something different. And this is what the actor playing the new Johnny Storm has said. And Joseph Quinn is saying this now. "He's a man that leads with a lot of bravado, which can be an affront sometimes, but also he's funny," Quinn says. Myself and Kevin Feige were speaking about previous iterations of him and where we are culturally. He was branded as this womanizing devil may care guy, but is that sexy these days? I don't think so. This version of Johnny is less callous with other people's feelings, and hopefully there's a self-awareness about what's driving that attention-seeking behavior. Now, Johnny is the little brother of the Fantastic Four, Quinn notes, but that's not the only quality that defines him. Now, when I heard that, I was like, okay, that's two major differences that we're getting right here with Johnny Storm. First of all, they're trying to say that he's not a ladies' man anymore, and for me, and that's a big part of what Johnny Storm's character was. He was meant to be like the playboy, essentially. And that made him really different from the rest of the Fantastic Four. And that contrast in personality made for some really fun and interesting, like conversations between the characters. And to just take that out, it feels like they're taking, like, a key part of the character dynamic out. The team's dynamic, a key part of it is missing now. Now, here's the thing. I get what they're saying that they don't want to make him a womanizer type thing, but at the same time, that doesn't mean you have to go all out with making him a womanizer. You can make him a flirt, just like how Chris Pratt's Star-Lord is, or Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man is. You can make him a flirt, but you don't have to make him a womanizer, so if they wanted to say we wanted to bring it down, I would understand that. But the way they phrase it here, it just sounds like they're just insulted by Johnny Storm's character. It's going back to the problem that we are seeing with the MCU, which is where it feels like they are ashamed of their characters. And rather than trying to say, okay, let's make slight adjustments, they're just saying, no, let's take those qualities out altogether. So when you read this and you listen to what he's saying, he was branded as this womanizing, devil-may-care guy, but is that sexy these days? I don't think so. It's funny how they say, is that sexy these days? It's like, what? The version that you're doing, is that considered sexy these days? I don't think that is considered sexy these days either. And if you see what Johnny Storm is doing in the Marvel Rivals game, he very much is that womanizer right there, and people seem to find it charming. Like, at least with the comedy aspect, they find it funny. So for them to play it down here, even though it's successful over there in Marvel Rivals, it really seems like they're actually just... It really seems like they just don't know what they're talking about. But for me, that is not really the issue, ultimately. Because like I said, the way for him to do that is with his personality and with his playful personality that he has with his family, with the rest of the Fantastic Four. And this is where this other line really kind of got to me, and it just essentially just strips Johnny Storm of his character, of the beloved character that he is. It says, this version of Johnny is less callous with other people's feelings, and hopefully there's a self-awareness about what's driving that attention-seeking behavior. Now, the final part they say of there's a self-awareness about what's driving that there's a self-awareness about what's driving that attention-seeking behavior. I don't mind if they want to delve in, maybe give Johnny layers as to why he is like that, but it's the first part that really bothers me, is when they say this version of Johnny is less callous with other people's feelings. So does that mean that the way he picks on the Thing, does that mean that's not going to happen anymore? Because if you watch the original Fantastic Four movies, especially the ones with Chris Evans, who was wonderfully cast as Johnny Storm, some of my favourite parts of that movie are when him and the Thing are just getting into arguments. They can get heated, or they could be really playful, or they could just be like little tiny observations. Those were really great, like, moments in that movie. I remember them to this day. But it seems like they're trying to take that away from this version of Johnny Storm, because they seem to think maybe that's not sexy these days. But quite frankly, if you take those two personality traits away from him, he feels much more like a blank slate. So when you take a look at the images of Johnny Storm that Marvel have released of Joseph Quinn, they look very boring. Like, when you strip him of that personality that he always has this one look on his face. And this is a shame, because I've really liked the casting of Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm. I was one of the few people that said that's perfect casting. But the fact that they're trying to strip him of that character that everyone knows and loves, to me that really does feel like a huge downgrade. Like they've lost the character's identity. It feels like they're reinventing the character, even though people have not got a great Fantastic Four movie yet with those original classic versions of the characters. So if they want to make this change, that's fine, but this change is something that should happen after they've made several versions. But the fact that they're changing it now, honestly, it makes me look at this already and look at those Tim Story movies and say, you know what? They have the better version of Johnny Storm. We're going to have to see the movie to know for sure, but based on what the description they've given, it genuinely does seem like we have the better version of Johnny Storm over in those Tim Story movies from Fox. And it really does, it is a shame because it really does just bore me. Just looking at his version of Johnny Storm, you're supposed to get excited, but I'm not excited. I just look at him, I'm like, you have not given me any vibes of Johnny Storm. You just look really, it looks like he's bored when he's playing the character. Now, one thing that essentially they're doing is that they're saying that Johnny is less of the hothead, and he's smarter now. And the thing is, Johnny is not the smartest character of the group, but that doesn't mean that he's always dumb all the time. He could have his brainstorm moments, but to say that no, he's now just going to be full-on smart. He's not the playboy personality. He's not going to pick on the thing, and now he's going to be smart instead of the hothead that he is. Honestly, this just goes against all the facets of Johnny Storm's character, and it feels like they took me from being excited about Joseph Quinn's casting, and now they've just made me kind of irritated, because a lot of this sounds like Joseph Quinn didn't want to play that version of the character, and that's why they changed it. So the thing is, at the end of the day, the buck stops with Marvel and Kevin Feige. So if Joseph Quinn didn't want to play that version of the character, then they should have said, okay, fine, don't play it. If you don't want to play it, we'll cast someone else. Or maybe they should have said to him, no, this is the version of the character, are you in or out? That's what they should have done, but it feels like they've just given in to their actors' demands, which really confuses me, because this is something that Marvel have been criticized for a lot, that they're not committing to the versions of the characters that people love from the comics, or from the original versions that they've seen in maybe the movies or the animated shows, and it feels like they're making the same mistakes that they've made before. Now, this movie is already undergoing reshoots, and that is never a good sign for Marvel, so I wonder if that is a complaint from people. Now, I've not heard anything about test screenings for this movie, but I can't help but wonder, did they do test screenings and did they not work out well? Is that something that people do not like? But there seems to be a lot of elements in this movie. So we've talked about Johnny Storm, but Sue Storm also seems to be going through some kinds of issues. When you continue reading the articles, it ultimately says that the movie is going to have a heavy emphasis on gender politics. And again, if a smarter studio said they were going to tackle that, I'd be like, okay, cool. But unfortunately, it's the MCU, and we know that they do not have a good history of tackling any kind of politics, let alone gender politics. And it's like, why is gender politics in this movie to begin with? Can't you just make a great Fantastic Four movie and just, like, develop your characters proper? Why are they just forcing in gender politics or any kind of politics? In fact, I've watched Daredevil Born Again recently, and in Daredevil Born Again, there's actually a scene where, in episode 4, and it's a completely pointless scene, it's where Matt Murdock goes to represent someone who essentially, I think, got caught out for shoplifting, or some crime, like some small petty crime like that. And he's going to have to go to jail, but he wants, essentially, to get bail, essentially. He doesn't want to go into jail. So Matt Murdock goes and tries to get him a deal, and he can't get him bail, so essentially he gets him saying that you're going to be in jail just for a small amount of time compared to the time they were going to give you. And then Matt gets annoyed at him because the guy's ungrateful. Then he goes, you should be grateful. And then the guy says, should I be grateful? And he goes on this big sob story. And here's the thing, I feel bad for that guy, and it's a black guy, by the way, so again, they're trying to get politics in there. I feel sorry for him and everything that he's going through in his story. But I was looking at this and I was like, what does this have to do with the episode? And lo and behold, it had nothing to do with the episode. A couple episodes later, we've never seen that character again, and that's never been referenced or touched on again, and it just feels weird. It's like, why are we doing this? This is such a waste of time. So I really do not like what they have done with that, and that just shows you that they're not doing good with politics in even Daredevil. They're forcing it in there. So I can't help but wonder or think that, are they going to be forcing the politics in this Fantastic Four movie as well? Because they've done it before, they've done it just recently, and now it seems like they're doing it again. So this is really kind of frustrating, because these seem to be all the old mistakes that Marvel have been making. The MCU's Fantastic Four and I'll tell you another reason why this is so concerning and why this is so frustrating, is because the MCU's Fantastic Four and X-Men was supposed to be a fresh start for the MCU. It was a way of Marvel shedding their skin and saying, okay, we're going to turn the franchise around. But this feels like an early warning sign that the problems that are plaguing the post-Endgame MCU movies are going to plague this new Fantastic Four movie. And quite frankly, remember that this is not where it ends. There's also the female Silver Surfer. They all knew that we wanted a male Silver Surfer in a good Fantastic Four movie, but now they're giving us a female Silver Surfer, even though no one asked for that. And I don't know why they're doing this. All the warning signs are there, and this movie is essentially, I would say, because all the warning signs are there, and people are already, this is getting bad, this is not getting good word of mouth online, people are annoyed with this, how they're changing these characters for no reason. And because, they think it's not modern now, in terms of the political landscape we're in, they think it's not good to do a version of Johnny Storm who's a flirt, or who picks on the Thing. Honestly, this sounds like a disaster. Do you know what it sounds like to me? I didn't think of this before, but I'm thinking of it now. This movie is for Marvel what James Gunn's Superman is for DC. This movie is going to decide if people are interested in the Fantastic Four going forward, and honestly, it unfortunately seems to have all the red flags and problems of the current MCU. So, I think this movie is actually in big trouble now. Because before, people were excited, like, oh cool, we're going to be seeing the MCU Fantastic Four. People have wanted this for years. But now they are going to be looking at this Fantastic Four and thinking, if it's going to have all the same problems as the previous MCU movies post-Endgame, then why should we bother watching this now? Because this has really put me off. Like, me personally, I was going to, out of curiosity, watch the MCU Fantastic Four movie because I thought this was going to be their way of fixing the problems of their current MCU post-Endgame. But no, it seems like they're making all the same mistakes. So, honestly, this makes me think that, yeah, I don't want to go watch the movie. I'd rather just stay and watch it at home when it hits streaming or something. So if it wasn't for me, if I didn't do this as a job, if I didn't review movies, I don't think I'll be watching this Fantastic Four movie in theaters. I will be, because I'm going to have to make a review for you guys. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on it. But yeah, it seems like people don't like using the word woke, and it seems like a lot of people are moving away from that kind of discourse now, but it does seem like they're pulling that woke card. And it's unfortunate because everyone said that they're essentially done with that now. Like, just make good movies is what everyone is saying. But this doesn't seem like they're trying to make a good movie. It feels like they're doing the thing where they put the message first before the story. And it should be story first, and I don't know why Marvel are making that same mistake. And like I said, the fact that they're actually doing reshoots just reinforces that I think Marvel might actually think that themselves now. And Superman's got a great trailer. We're going to get another trailer for Superman soon because James Gunn has hinted at it. And the hype for Superman seems to be right up there, but the hype for Fantastic Four is too mellow. And now that we've heard this kind of seems like the actors are putting their foot in their mouths, kind of like how we've seen some other actors do in the past. We've seen Rachel Zegler do it. I'm sorry to say, even though I don't think Anthony Mackie said anything wrong, I made a video talking about that, I feel like even he had kind of put his foot in his mouth a bit. And it feels like now the Fantastic Four cast are doing the same thing. In particular, the Joseph Quinn playing Johnny Storm, and what they're saying about Sue Storm. So yes, I think this is actually an issue. I think, yeah, I'm not particularly impressed with what they're doing. It's like, just make a great movie. James Gunn is not playing any kind of politics in his movies. There is a political storyline in there about how they're going to handle a certain political issue in regards to, like, it was going to be the Middle East, but now I think they've made it something else. There's a conflict that Superman and the other heroes, like Green Lantern in that movie, are going to have differing ideas on how they should approach that political issue. And that's going to be part of the thing. And I feel like that sounds like something that will be interesting. That sounds like a Superman thing. But this just sounds like generic stuff that's not worked in the past, and it doesn't seem like it's going to work now either. So yeah. So yeah, that's something that I think is actually my thoughts on the Fantastic Four situation. The movie was, like, interesting at first, but now it's concerning. It's like, oh no, what are they going to do? So yeah, I'm actually very concerned about this. So yeah, now it's your guys' turn. What do you think? And of course, I'm going to answer all the questions that people submitted through Super Chats and Streamlabs chats first. Then I'll get to you guys in the chat. So Kevin has done a $5 donation. Thank you very much, Kevin. He's done a $5 Super Chat. Kevin says, Phantom Menace is bad because of Trade Federation, midichlorians, and Jar Jar. Speaking of him, how come he didn't get killed off in Episode 3? Again, been a while. Okay, so Phantom Menace, it was bad because of the Trade Federations, but I think it's bad for many other things. If you watch Star Wars The Clone Wars, you'll see that George Lucas actually was onto something when it came to all of this political discourse in Star Wars, because it reflected our own world, and it showed the corruption of why these are put into place, and how it affects the people and everything. It was really good. Star Wars, you can watch Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you can learn a lot about how you could be political, but how you can make it necessary for the story, and how you can make it very smart and tie into the overall story, and how you can advance the characters in that, and see how the characters react to some, to difficult political situations like this. So Star Wars The Clone Wars actually can teach you a lot about that, and I think George Lucas on his own, he didn't quite crack the code with that, but with The Clone Wars, he brought in a writer's room. There were a lot more people that came in and were advising George Lucas, and they actually gave George Lucas a bit of pushback, politely, but they gave him some pushback. And I think that's what they ultimately need to do with Marvel when it comes to this, I think. But yeah, in terms of the Trade Federation stuff, I think that was just... it was something that George Lucas needed help on. I don't think it was a bad idea. It just, the execution didn't work. And yeah, midichlorians and Jar Jar, yeah, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. A lot of people had issues with that. And I don't know why they didn't kill off Jar Jar, but that's not something I'm particularly mad about or anything. I would like to know where he went, though, afterwards. Did he just go back to his own people? Did the Empire come and take their land as well, their home? I don't know. But thank you, Kevin, for that super chat. Always appreciated. Now it's time to get to the chat. So, what do you guys think of what I just described about the Fantastic Four? Hui Toonmore says, anyone who makes wokeness their main complaint in a movie or show is a conservative Trump-supporting MAGA. No, that's not true. Thing is, I've got bad things to say about Trump, and I have said bad things about him. But the thing is, and a lot of people have been saying bad things about him because he's basically screwed up people's retirements with these tariffs recently. There's a lot of people. Have you seen on Twitter? There's a lot of people that's voted for Trump. They said, I voted for you several times, and now it feels like you've screwed me over, they've said. You've ruined my retirement and things. So it's like they kind of brought it on themselves, but at the same time, you do feel a bit bad about that. But no, that's not what it is. When you talk about woke, Hui, I've said this before. What I describe as woke is when creativity is not prioritized, but someone's own self-indulging politics is. So with Hollywood, we know they don't believe in any of this stuff. But because, they've done a lot of this bad racist stuff themselves in the past. The thing is, they got caught. Now they're just trying to pat themselves on the back and say, look how good we're being. And when they try to do that, they do it at the expense of the storytelling. They do it at the expense of the characters. But they do it just to say, look how good we're being. And it's compromised a lot of their characters in the past. So no, I disagree with that. We've spoke about this in the past, Hui Toonmore. We've spoke about this in the past. Look, if you are uncomfortable with that word, then that's fine, that's fair, but that's on you. You can use any word, though. You can use woke, you can use overly progressive, you can use pandering. There's many words that you can use, but woke is just one of them. You don't have to hate that word. The only reason that people hate it is because there are people that have overused it, and I agree, people have definitely overused it. When things on, I've even said that this and that is not woke, but people are calling it woke. So I agree, it is frustrating when people overuse it, but I'm not overusing it. When I use it, I'm using it in the proper context in which I just described and detailed to you. So when I use it, don't think of anyone else. Just think of what I'm saying when I use it. Because I've told you now what my definition of the word is, so or why I use the word. So just think of that whenever I use it. Chris Thompson says, woke started off as slang. That just means socially aware. The misuse of the word is ridiculous. Yes, but it is ridiculous, but the word has taken on a meaning of its own. People know what you mean when you say woke. So, yeah, I would say it's when it's forced politics at the expense of storytelling. Electrify has done a $5 super chat. Thank you very, very much, buddy. I really appreciate that. He says, hey, Eric, I'm sorry I was late. I was working on my script. Are you going to binge watch The Last of Us Season 2 when it comes out? great work on your script. Wish you the best of luck. Am I gonna binge watch The Last of Us season 2? Probably not. If I do anything with The Last of Us season 2, it'll probably be watching them on my on my Patreon. Like, you know, how when I do these Let's Watch reactions, because I'm doing it right now with Daredevil Born Again, and it's going on my Patreon, and it's also going on my YouTube memberships. So I might consider doing that. Might. I haven't decided yet, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hui Chunmo says, and now I hate that word because F the misuse. I agree with you that I don't like how people have really misused it, and especially with how they've just overused it. But like I said, the word has taken on a meaning of its own. So yeah. The G Gamer says, what shows are currently on your radar to watch and react? Well, right now I'm watching Daredevil Born Again, and then I'm thinking of watching Invincible Season 3, because I've already got my entire reaction for Invincible Season 2 on my Patreon. So I'm thinking of doing a reaction to Invincible Season 3 as well. Big Bash says, I don't mind progressive content. I dislike when it is the whole point of the character. I get you. I really do. Like, a character should be a character, but a lot of these Hollywood people feel like they're writing them as social media checkpoints. Like the ticking off check boxes from social media, and that consists of character traits. It's a disservice to the characters, and it's also an insult to the audience, because audiences are smarter than that. How much money do you think Fantastic Four will make in the box office, says Hassan? Ooh, that's a good question. I think it'll probably make around $500 to $600 million is what I think. Because bear in mind, Fantastic Four is in the cinema at that point, but we're also going to have the Superman movie in there, and we're also going to have Jurassic World in there. And I have a strong feeling Jurassic World might make more than all three of them. Because people don't have much high standards for the quality of the Jurassic World. Expect some cool dinosaur scenes ultimately, and I think that's what's going to bring them in. So I think that's why Jurassic World is a safer bet as to why it's going to probably beat Superman and Fantastic Four. But I think that Fantastic Four is going to do the worst. But if I was rooting for a particular team, I would say Team Superman. Superman is the one that I want to make a lot of money, and I hope it's a great movie. I loved that fortress scene with Krypto. How the fortress just turned all the way sideways, and then how they had like the magnifying glasses, which basically like just directed the sun at Superman. Him screaming was weird, but I did love that scene. I really did. So yeah, now you know what? I'm gonna put a poll in here and ask you which one do you think should win? Which team are you at? Oh, which team are you at the box office? Okay. Team Superman? Team Jurassic World? Or Team Fantastic Four? Okay. All right. Starting the poll. So get in there and do your votes. Now let's see. Oh, Connor has been a member for 9 months. Thank you, Connor. He says, I'm preparing to upgrade my tier on the membership, and if I do upgrade, I'll try to ask for a versus or a review video. Okay, cool. Let me take a look. Which perk are you doing? Oh, I got a request Let's Watch. Yeah, so, Connor, basically, is that what you're talking about when you say you're going to upgrade your tier, or are you talking about Patreon tier? Oh, I'm curious, are you talking about Patreon tier or YouTube members tier? Let's take a look at the vote and see how that's going so far as well. Oh, wow. That seems like no competition so far. There's 43 of you watching, so I don't know if you guys are back like earlier on in the stream, but you guys put your votes in too. There's 12 of you that have not done it yet. Oh wow, Connor says, I'm going to upgrade both tiers for YouTube membership and Patreon. Oh, that is so generous of you, Connor. I really appreciate that. There's one goal that I've done on Patreon, on YouTube memberships. It's the Request Let's Watch perk. On the Request Let's Watch perk, I'm actually going to... if someone does that once a month, it means every single month they get to request a Let's Watch. And that was something I put there, as it says, for a super fan. So yeah, if you do that, even if you do it once, yeah, that'll be appreciated. Let's see. I'm looking at the votes here. It's so funny how one-sided it's become. It really is. Yeah, just so you know, when you request a Let's Watch on YouTube memberships, Connor, it's for movies only, not for TV shows. So yeah. It depends which one you go for, though, so that's entirely on you. Your decision. You know what? I'll probably get rid of the behind-the-scenes one, because I don't think I'll be able to live up to that. So don't get the behind-the-scenes perk, because so far I haven't got any behind-the-scenes footage, and I don't want you to go in there thinking that you're going to get behind-the-scenes stuff. I've got so much content to make that I think that was probably me biting off more than I could chew. So I'll change that. So don't worry, don't go for that one. All right? I don't want you to end up spending money on something that is not going to, you know, get you any value. And I always try to give people value whenever they donate to me through Patreon or YouTube memberships. All right, we're going to end the poll. So those of you that haven't, go ahead and get yours in there right now. And then we'll take a look at the results and I'll read them out. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, we're going to end the poll. So let's see. Which team are you at the box office? Team Superman got a whopping 83%. Team Fantastic Four got 13%. And Team Jurassic World got a 2%. Wow. So... yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page right there. Except if Fantastic Four really is as bad as we're hoping it isn't, then unfortunately I'll put that in third place if that is the case. But yeah, we're all voting for Superman. That's what we're all looking forward to. Big Bash sent a message. Where did it go? It says, Eric, tomorrow it's going to be a month since I became a Patreon member. Oh wow, congratulations and thank you very much, Big Bash. I really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed the content that's come onto Patreon. I've been a bit slower on it, but that's because I've been putting videos up on YouTube. And I would have recorded a Patreon video right now, but then we got a live stream. So, yeah, that's why that didn't quite materialize. But I'm going to be doing more of them. So, yeah. Jess goes thumbs down for Fantastic Four and Jurassic World. Big Bash, it's been great so far. I'm glad you've been enjoying being a patron so far. That's means a lot to me. It's like running 2 channels it is when you're on Patreon and YouTube, so I'm really glad. Joshman says, Eric, do you think Fantastic Four is still going to be good, or do you think it's going to end up suffering through the same problems as the previous recent MCU movies? Well, it sounds like it's going to make it's going to suffer through the same problems as the recent MCU movies, but the hope is that it doesn't. I hope it sounds worse on the article than it actually is in the movie. Because Marvel, they cannot go through this again. The Fantastic Four and the X-Men was them supposed to be essentially resetting the board. But if they're making the same mistakes they've made before, that is not going to be good. I mean, because if you look at the X-Men that Fox did, Deadpool and Wolverine, they really, made the movie people wanted to see in the sense that it wasn't a political movie. I mean, it is if you find out what Ryan Reynolds was doing in there, especially with Nice Pool, if you find out what that whole motivation was behind Nice Pool. But if you take a look at what he has done in that film, it's like him and Hugh Jackman knew that we just have to entertain our audience, essentially. They didn't put any politics in there. They made the movie that people wanted to see. But Marvel are not making the movies people want to see. Instead, it feels like they are actively going against the movies their audience wants. And honestly, I don't know what is going on with Marvel and why they're not looking at what's going on and saying we need to change. If it's like they're just making the same mistakes. Before the Fantastic Four came out, before they started shooting the Fantastic Four, they had already gotten plenty of feedback from their previous projects. So that was plenty of time for them to realize we need to change our strategy and our moves here. But they did not. They just went about making the same moves that they've been making before. And those moves have not been popular then. I don't know why they thought they'd be popular now. And in terms of crossovers, Marvel are not even doing the crossovers right. Because if you actually go over and watch Daredevil Born Again, I watched one of the episodes recently. It was a complete filler episode. It was episode 5, where the whole bank robbery happened. And in that episode, constantly they would name drop Kamala, Miss Marvel, basically. And they would constantly keep dropping Miss Marvel's name in there. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you trying so hard to set up Daredevil in a crossover with Miss Marvel? Which I'm assuming is probably what they were going to do with Season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, if they were foreshadowing her that blatantly. And it made me think, I was like, look, the movies that people want to look, the crossover that people want to see with Daredevil is Spider-Man. So if you want to make any kind of hints for crossovers for Daredevil, you gotta throw Spider-Man hints in there. And they did one, but they really laid it on thick with Kamala. The father kept name-dropping her so many times. Then they had Matt Murdock say Kamala's name afterwards too. It's like they're trying to do all these crossovers that we don't want to see, and that's really hurting them. However, look what happened with Deadpool and Wolverine. That gave us a crossover that we did want to see, and look how much money it made. Now imagine if Marvel make a PG-13 movie called Daredevil and Miss Marvel. That movie would flop big time, and it would be a complete wasted opportunity, but wasted opportunity seems to be the way of Marvel right now. And yeah, I just don't know what to say. Seriously, I really don't. I don't know what to say about when they keep doing this nonsense. Okay, Hui Tumo says, I'm optimistic about Jurassic World Rebirth because of both Gareth Edwards and David Koepp. Plus, we're getting mutant dinosaurs and scenes from the book we haven't seen in a movie yet. Thing is, the book was actually rated R, essentially, if you want to put a rating on the book. Jurassic Park was actually a very violent book. Like, the scene with what's his name? The big guy in the first movie with that, who was trying to, like, get profit from the DNA of the dinosaurs, and he got eaten in his car, and he got blinded. I can't remember. Dennis, that was it. Thank you, Hui. I appreciate that. Big Bash, not John Hammond. It was his, it was that, I was gonna say the big fat guy. That's essentially what I used to think what he was when I was like, you know, how I always called him. You know what I'm talking about. In the book, apparently, his death scene was apparently the most graphic. In the book, apparently, he was blinded, but they said that he felt a rip or something, and he couldn't see, but what he could feel felt like intestines in his hand. So basically, it was saying that the dinosaur gutted him. And I was like, holy shit. Like, when I heard that, I was like, man, imagine if that was in Jurassic Park. That was disturbing to hear. I was like, man, like, what would Jurassic Park have been if it was done as a rated R movie? In fact, I don't know if you guys knew this, but James Cameron actually wanted to direct Jurassic Park back in the day when the book came out, but Steven Spielberg beat him to it. But James Cameron said he was going to make it like a really dark rated R type movie, kind of like what he did with Aliens. But he says that he was actually impressed and surprised when Spielberg took it and made it more of a family horror movie type thing. So I don't know if you guys knew that, but that was a very interesting tidbit that I found out. I was like, oh, cool. Big Bash says, did you read the Jurassic Park book, Eric? No, I never read it, but I did want to. When I heard about that, I was like, wow, so what's the more violent version like? David Kep has written, I think, a lot of bad books as well. I can't remember them now. I'm blanking on them now, but I know he's also written bad books. So, Hui, I think that's a very good point you brought up, but it's a double-edged sword. It's like he's written bad books too that have turned to bad movies. Wasn't Congo one of his? Khan will move on to the next story in a bit. So, does anyone else have anything else to say about the Fantastic Four? Any concerns they have? Anything that they like? Do you have faith in it? Do you not have faith in it? Khan says, all I could say is I'm disappointed so far. This seems like they're just repeating things as usual. It really does. I literally couldn't care less. This article didn't do anything, says Chris. Okay, cool. I'm glad that this hasn't changed your perception. Ah, Hui Toonmore, very good. He goes, no, David Kep never worked on Congo. Also, are you confusing David Kep with Michael Crichton? I probably am, yeah. Did David Kep make bad books, though? Because it's been a while since I've seen videos talking about him. And I wonder if he has ever made a book that didn't turn out as well as a movie. Oh, Selena, hi, great to see you here. Is it going to be a three-way versus video, says the G-Gamer? I don't know, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'm going to try, but Superman and Fantastic Four are coming out 1 week apart from each other. So that's going to be a very hard one to do. Trevor says, nah, my interest of this new Fantastic Four just drained. I can understand that. If Marvel had a better track record when it came to these types of things, then I'd still be excited. But they don't seem to have that. Track records at Marvel, for some reason, that really doesn't seem to work their way. All right. So we've gone from one Marvel story, one Marvel disaster story, and we're about to go to another. I'm afraid it's unfortunate. I really wish that we didn't have to, but Marvel are just making it too easy to go to these bad stories. So, here we go. The Thunderbolts. Now, the Thunderbolts, I've always said, this looks like a PG-13 Disney-fied, safe, MCU-ified version of the Suicide Squad. Except these characters don't even seem like proper villains. You've got Yelena there, who, if you want to call her a anti-hero, you can, but she clearly is a hero. You got Bucky there, clearly a hero. You've got her father there. He's also clearly very much a hero. It's like he's just too dumb, I think, to be a bad guy. He comes across like it's easier to get him to be a good guy. Then we've got Taskmaster, who we never knew her personality before because she was mind controlled. So who knows? Maybe now she is more of an evil person. Or they made it seem like she was more of a victim, quite frankly. So, yeah. And by the way, Batman's Gamer, the Jurassic Park novel is much darker. Must read. Yeah, I'm aware of that. Thank you for the $2 super chat. But yeah, I am aware. That's one of the reasons I wanted to read it. But yeah, so I've not... When you look at all these characters, they don't strike me as villains or bad guys, really. They're just good guys that have had a bit of a bad time. That's ultimately how I would best describe what they're like. Ultimately. So, yeah, they're basically the Suicide Squad without being villains, essentially. They're just light anti-heroes, essentially. And this movie, it seems like it is already heading for disaster. Because, look at that, I would actually say that this movie is in danger. Because we've actually got some box office predictions and estimates coming in for its opening domestic weekend. And just take a look at this. It says here, according to tracking, the tentpole is headed for a domestic debut in the 63 million to 77 million range, with a target number of $70 million. Now, first of all, that's a huge discrepancy. Do you see how it says... Oh, let me just reposition these. Do you see how it goes from 63 million to 77 million. That's a huge discrepancy in terms of how much they think this movie is going to make. So it shows they're not certain. But then they ultimately gave a number, though. They said, we think it's going to make $70 million domestic. Now, That's not a particularly good thing, because I don't know if you guys know, but Captain America Brave New World, the domestic box office for that when it opened was $88.8 million. So for Captain America Brave New World to have a domestic opening of 88.8 million, but Thunderbolts is going to have 63 to 77 million, so essentially less than that. That is not a good sign. That means this movie is also going to be a flop. And if you take a look at the current box office for Captain America Brave New World, it currently stands at $413 million. This movie, to put it in perspective, it had to make apparently like about $450 million to break even. That's if you trust Marvel's budget of $180 million. I don't trust it, so I think the movie really had to make like about $600 to $650 million to break even, because clearly the budget is much bigger. That is not good. Thunderbolts is said to be about $150 million budget, but again, I don't know if I can trust that either. Because Marvel, for some reason, even though if their projects look cheap, they somehow cost so much money. So, like Secret Invasion, for example, looked like one of their super cheap shows. Ended up costing $212 million. So, this looks like a cheaper movie, but I feel like it was not cheap for them to make. I think they still spent a pretty penny on this film. So, yeah, not good for what... It's like Marvel are not in the business to be losing money. They're not even in the business to be breaking even. But they're not even breaking even anymore. They're just losing money one project after the other. And bear in mind, the Thunderbolts are supposed to be in Avengers Doomsday. So if the Thunderbolts movie does not do good, if the Fantastic Four movie does not do good, do you know what that means? It means that people are not going to give a shit when these characters end up in Avengers Doomsday. The only characters they will care about are maybe a couple of the Avengers, but even a lot of the Avengers people don't care about now. The only movie that people will care about... Sorry, the only characters they'll care about are the X-Men. Versions of the X-Men that don't even belong to Disney Marvel. Those are the ones that people are going to be the most excited for. So, yeah, it's surprising how much Marvel are just... They're completely flubbing this. It's like, usually when Marvel introduced new characters, then they're going to end up in another movie. It was exciting. You felt like you had to go see that movie with that character to understand the next film. That's why the Captain Marvel made so much money. It made $1 billion, even though the movie itself wasn't good. People felt that they had to see it to understand Endgame the very next month. They didn't need to, but that was the marketing trick behind that one. But now it just goes to show how people really just do not care. And that is really, really bad for Marvel. That is so, so bad, because that was essentially a big part of their business model that drove audiences to go see these films in theaters. But now people don't feel like they need to, and surprisingly, there are a big number of people that have not even seen their Disney Plus shows that were meant to essentially lead into these movies. So Marvel are in a big predicament. They've lost the critical thing that made them so successful. They've lost the feeling that they've lost the need to watch every single movie to be caught up and to understand what's going on in their universe. So, yeah, this is very concerning for them. So, the thing is, who cared about Thunderbolts? No one asked for a Thunderbolts movie. Of all the movies they can make in the MCU, why do they do Thunderbolts? And why did they take Falcon the Winter Soldier? They took the character of Bucky and Sam Wilson and they separated them. It's like you took those two characters that worked well together and separated them into these two separate teams, and now both their movies are not doing well. I think if they put both of them together, it probably would have done better. I'm not saying it would have been done great, but it would have been done better, I think. So yeah, I don't know what is going on down there. These are basic decisions that even normies, people who never spent a day in the Hollywood industry, can tell you are bad ideas. But Marvel just saw like, yeah, we don't care, we're just going to do it anyway. It's like, well, okay, do it, and then fail, and then complain about it afterwards. It just seems to be like a roundabout thing with them. They just seem to keep making the same mistakes. So yeah, I have very, very, very little faith in that this movie will do well. If it's tracking below Falcon and the Winter Soldier, then that's not a good thing. This movie is in deep, deep trouble. Big Bash said it very well. You can't help someone who doesn't want help. I think Marvel really are in that denial phase right now. They can clearly see the numbers are not good. But the fact is that they're still doing this. It shows that either they are incredibly... It shows that they are incredibly stubborn and they want people to like this. And they're maybe thinking people will eventually like it if they wear them down and they think this is all they're getting. Or they just don't care and they're saying, this is what we wanted to do. This is how we're going to do it. I honestly... You can't reason with stupidity. And that's what the problem is. We're trying to reason with stupidity right now. And the thing is, you can't. Stupidity is going to do what stupidity is going to do. And in this case, that's Marvel are going to do what Marvel are going to do. In the meantime, have you noticed that they've not advertised Ironheart, which is coming out the month after this movie? 2 months from now, we're going to get Ironheart. And no one has actually... No one's advertised it yet. And they've been sitting on this show for 2 years. It's like, was the show really that inconsequential to the MCU? And that inconsequential to just, like... was the show really that inconsequential to the point that they felt like, yeah, we don't have to release any marketing for it, and we don't have to release it in order of when we made it? It just goes to show that there really is an issue here. Marvel have got, like, a problem, and the fact they're not releasing that show, and they've been sitting on it for 2 years, and just all these other, like incoherent moves they're making, it just shows there never really was a plan in the MCU. It's just a scatterbrain of ideas, if you wouldn't even call them ideas, and they've just said, let's just do it, we're Marvel, people will watch anything we do, and look at where they are now. People are just not watching anything they're doing. And, let's see, what did one of you say here? G-Gamer said, upward failure. I take it you saw my Snow White video recently, what I did with Christopher Lee. That was a brilliant clip, that was, of what he said. Definitely an upward failure. Jess says, who even wanted Ironheart? Nobody. I know, Ironheart actually made the Wakanda Forever movie worse in my mind. Because I wanted, like, M'Baku to have an arc and deal with the passing of T'Challa. But he didn't get to because they were setting up a spin-off with Riri Williams. So we lost that, unfortunately. Jess says, did you guys know that Professor X was in Doctor Strange 2? Yeah, he was, and that was not good how they did it. Bucky is the only character I'm excited to see in Thunderbolts. Pretty much, yeah, Bucky is the only one. But it's like, why is he with these characters, though? I'd like to see Bucky cross over with some of the other MCU characters, like maybe see what it's like if he's crossing over with Thor. But I don't care him crossing over with these characters, I really don't. And why is Yelena the main lead here? You can see in all these posters, she's the main lead. And Bucky has been in the MCU since the first Captain America movie. So you'd think that Marvel would say, you know what, Sebastian Stan, Bucky, you have been, what's the term I'm looking for? Ooh, what's the term I'm looking for? Where someone is like just grinding, like essentially just to get to where they are. Not loyal. When someone has to like just grind out, do what they do until they eventually reap the rewards. Their due, that was it. You've been paying your due, was it? Yeah. You've paid your dues. It's like that's what they should say to Sebastian Stan and Bucky. You've paid your dues. You've been in the MCU since the first Captain America movie. Now it is time to actually give you a team that you are the leader of. But they didn't do that. Instead, Yelena came into the scene just a handful of years ago, and they're saying to her, hey Yelena, how about you be first in command on the team, and Bucky is second. That's what they've done, and it's like, why did you make her the leader before him? And again, it comes down to Marvel trying to be very... We all know what it is. They're trying to say that she's the strong female character, she's the leader. But it's like, I'm not against her being the leader. But just like Bucky paid his dues, she should pay her dues. But she's not. She's just been rushed to the front lines of this team. And Bucky is in second place. In the marketing, in the posters. And it really is. it is disappointing and disheartening to see, especially if you like the character of Bucky. And Falcon, he's he's upgraded to Captain America. Now he's the leader of his team. Why can't Bucky be the leader of his? Yelena has essentially only made her stamp on the MCU in streaming. Because the Black Widow movie, yes, it went in theaters, but it didn't do particularly well because we were in the height of COVID at the time. So a lot of people watched Black Widow on Disney Plus on streaming. And then the next appearance that she had was in the Hawkeye show. So Yelena has very much appeared mainly on streaming, not really on the big screen. And to take a streaming character and make her the lead, and she's only been in the MCU for a handful of years, as opposed to Bucky, who's been in like the big tentpole MCU movies and has been there since the beginning, pretty much. To actually say that one, yeah, he's not going to be the face of the team, but she is. It seems like a bad business move, and we as fans, of course, would prefer to have Bucky on the front lines. But the fact that they're making Florence Pugh, who's a great actress and she does a great job with this character, I just don't think that they've spent the time to give her high quality writing and development. Bucky, on the other hand, has had high quality writing and development. So to put Yelena on the front line instead of Bucky, I think is a big mistake. I really do. Uh, 1 hour 5. Okay. Oh, I was wondering what's going on with my paper here as I was writing my notes. Okay, so Bucky is the leader, says Batman 235. That's not what it seems like in the posters. Originally, they were going to make Florence Pugh the leader, but then they says that now Bucky is the leader, but looking at the trailers, it seems like Florence Pugh is the leader. But who knows? I could be wrong, but then why in the posters is she like fronted, like right in the center, like she's the one in charge? Batman 235, I don't think he is the leader. It seems like from what I've heard that she is the leader, and the movie mainly revolves around her and gives her a story more than anyone else. Check Google. Batman's Gamer says, Eric, he's not the leader. Goat says, maybe no one is. Yeah, maybe no one is. If you're going to fix the MCU, what would you charge the MCU? Fireboy, it's great to see you again. Ask me that question again. I think you are saying if you're going to change the MCU, what would you change? The first thing that I think that's what you're asking. What would I change? Okay, let me read that question again. Again, look at Google. This is an interesting stream, says Saeed. I'm glad you think it is, because I've still got plenty more to say about this. Chris says, the way they may want to promote a beloved modern actress to sell the movie. Yes, but is she beloved in the MCU? There's a difference between her being beloved in another franchise or movie, and there's a difference between you being beloved in the MCU. Just look at Robert Downey Jr. when he did that Doolittle movie, and there's other movies he's done that did not take off to the level that maybe he wanted them to take off. But when he's in an Avengers movie, or when he's going to be in the Avengers Doomsday coming up, all of a sudden he's a big name. So just because he's a big name in the MCU does not mean he's a big name outside of the MCU. And I feel like with Florence Pugh, it's the reverse. Just because she's a big name out there doesn't mean she's a big name in the MCU yet. That's how I would describe that. Okay, so Fireboy says, let me find, where did it go? Joshman, yes, Brave New World is a complete disaster because it did not even break even, and it seems to be reaching the end of its box office prospects. So yeah, Brave New World is a complete flop. It did not even beat the box office like break-even point for the budget that Marvel lied about. So when you factor in the real budget, they needed to make a heck of a lot more, and they didn't. So yeah. Okay. Where is that question from Fireboy? Where did it go? Where did it go? There it is. Fireboy says, if you're going to fix the MCU, what would you change? Well, the first thing I would change is, since Avengers Doomsday is coming out, what I would do is I would use Avengers Doomsday as a golden opportunity to essentially wipe the board clean. So get rid of the characters that they don't see having a future, or that did not take off with audience members, which pretty much is all of them post Endgame, and then say, okay, now these are the characters we're going to be focusing on, or these are going to be your new MCU characters going forward. So we have the Fantastic Four in there, we've got the Thunderbolts in there. I think most of the Thunderbolts should die. I don't think anyone really cares about them that much, and we're going to see just how much they care when we see the box office performance of Thunderbolts. So that's one thing. The other thing they need to do is also come up with an actual villain. Sadly, Doctor Doom, they rushed him. So he's going to be in Doomsday and Secret Wars, and then that's it. It seems like he's going to lose at the end of Secret Wars, then we're going to have a brand new phase. The Russo brothers even said that what they're doing differently with Avengers Doomsdays and Secret Wars compared to what they did with Infinity War and Endgame, is that with Infinity War and Endgame, they were tasked with ending the story of the MCU. Whereas with Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, they are doing the opposite. They are actually tasked with giving it a new beginning. So that's what the Russo brothers have said they're doing. So essentially, it seems like they are going to try to reset the board. But knowing Marvel, how much are they going to try to reset the board? Will they go as far as they need to make people interested again? Because like I said, the MCU, I've said this before, they've expanded too fast. There are too many characters to keep up with, and too many characters whose movies or shows a lot of audiences have not seen. So that's one thing. They need to reset the board and tell us these are the characters you're supposed to care about going forward. The other thing, reduce their budgets. Their budgets are way too big, and a big reason for that is because they do not have finished scripts, they do not have finished sets, and they are not ready to start these productions, but they just want to get shooting very quickly. So what they need to do is take the time with the scripts, take the time with the pre-production, and then when it comes time for them to go to post-production with the special effects and everything like that, the movie will be in a much better standing, and it'll be much more high, and it will be in a much more high quality standing, because they won't have tons of reshoots to do. They won't have to fix everything with CGI, and they will have a movie, because they spent time on the script, they will have a movie that is coherent, that actually has a point, because they did not start shooting it until they knew the script was ready. Those are the things they need to also do, as well as wiping the slate clean, because that way they will be guaranteed much more high quality movies. That's essentially what James Gunn is doing over at the new DC, and Marvel. I feel like there was a time where they did do that, but now they're just trying to meet investor demands, and they're not paying attention to actual quality. It very much is a situation of quantity over quality, and it all is because they're trying to like bolster up Disney Plus, and they're also trying to bolster up their movies and theaters, but it's not having the desired effect. That's another thing. Cut down on Disney Plus. If you look at what DC is doing, they've only released 2 shows on Disney Plus at the time of making this video. That is Peacemaker and The Penguin. There's Creature Commandos, and that's good in its own regard, but I'm talking about the live action shows here. But DC have very much taken a quality over quantity approach, and they're not making shows that are meant to be big budget like the movies. They're making shows that are character pieces. They are very much like character studies. So they're taking characters from the movies that did not get much development, and both Peacemaker and especially the Penguin did not get much development in their respected movies, and they fleshed them out. So now when we see them in another movie, we are going to be more excited about them. We know them now. We know their past. We know their trials and tribulations. We care more about them, certainly in the case of Peacemaker. And in the case of the Penguin, who's a villain, we hate him now. He's been established. We want Batman to kick and beat the living shit out of him. That's what we want from the Penguin. And that's 2 completely different kind of like emotions that that DC have given us. Not Marvel, but DC have given us with these 2 shows. And they are vastly different from each other. They do not resemble each other whatsoever. Even the way they use their R rating is incredibly different. And that is the exciting part about DC. There is such a variety there. And there's a variety with just 2 of those shows. Meanwhile, Marvel have released so many shows, and they are essentially meant to compete with their own movies. And the problem with that is that if you're competing with the scope and scale of your own movies in the theaters, the movies that are meant to go to theaters, then that gives people very little incentive to want to go to the theaters to see those movies, because you're getting them used to watching that scope, that level of movie on streaming and on the small screen. So once you've gotten them used to that, they have very little reason to go up to watching the movie in theaters. Because going back to Peacemaker and the Penguin, those two movies, those two shows, they very much, they're not giving you the big scale, like big action sequences, the big budget, huge scope of the movies, like the Suicide Squad and the Batman. They're giving you, like I said, character studies, and that makes you, it's like, it very much feels like they've put it in the streaming level of quality. It's not too low quality for TV, but it's at a perfect level that they've managed to find. They've struck the right balance. They've made it movie-like whilst making it clearly TV-like, and they've taken advantage of the format. Marvel have not done that, and unfortunately it does not make you excited to go from Marvel's characters on streaming to them characters in movies. But with the DC characters, you are excited to go from their streaming shows to seeing them more realized in the movies and go up against the big heroes. But again, Marvel have not done that, and you can tell that Marvel are rushing these scripts out because and that's another thing that Marvel need to also do, is that the runtimes. The runtimes is something that Marvel have not got down, because Marvel's shows, they're very short. They can be as little as sometimes just over 20 minutes if you take the credits out. And at their longest, they're not long enough. And ultimately, they are structured like movies, but they essentially just pad the movie scripts out so they can fit however many episodes, 6 to 9 plus episodes. But with DC, they've actually taken these TV shows and they've made each episode like 50 minutes to an hour. And on top of that, each episode feels like it does not waste your time. It's like there is a reason why this show is giving you 8 hours worth of content. Because it's giving you an 8-hour long story. But with Marvel, these stories are essentially just 2 to 2.5 hours long or something, and then they're trying to pad it out to fit their 9 episodes, which when you add it up, they're not 9 hours long. They are essentially just like 3 to 4 hour long shows. So it's like, why do we even have a show in the first place? It's essentially like just a prolonged movie. So there's many things Marvel need to fix, but I would say those are the things that they need to fix first. And also, make movies that people want to see. That's kind of obvious, but no one cares about Thunderbolts, the PG-13 Suicide Squad. No one cares about Daredevil and Miss Marvel, which they were trying to tease, essentially, in the Daredevil Born Again show. But people do love Deadpool and Wolverine. People do love the idea of seeing a Superman movie that's coming out. And people do love the idea to see an Avengers movie, but they just don't want to see an Avengers movie that is being rushed and thrown together, which is exactly what is happening here. So, essentially, what they need to do is not make a movie about, like I said, say Daredevil and Miss Marvel, which they were heavily teasing in the Daredevil show, but make the movie that people really want to see, which is Daredevil and Spider-Man. Imagine if that was announced. People would be excited. There would be talks going on about it. You'd be getting Daredevil finally meeting Tom Holland's Peter Parker. That's an interesting team, a duo. And imagine if Kingpin was in there, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, and Charlie Cox in there. That's a great idea, that is. But clearly what they were trying to set up so hard in Daredevil Born Again was Kamala, Miss Marvel, and Daredevil. And I feel like in the state that we're in, that's the movie Marvel actually would greenlight and make. And no one wants to see that movie. No one cares about that movie. So that's another thing Marvel need to do. Make movies that people want to see. It's the comic book world. You've got so many characters. They've got good characters in the MCU already. It should not be hard to actually come up with a good idea for a movie with these characters. But for Marvel, apparently it does seem hard for them. But they need to take a step back, reevaluate everything, clear off the board, like I said, make higher quality movies, higher quality scripts, higher quality productions, and then also get their shows right and not make them compete with their movies, because those shows are not competing with DC, they're really competing with the MCU movies. They need to reevaluate what they're doing with the TV shows. And then, of course, make movies that people want to see, because they're not doing that right now. And Thunderbolts is next, and like we are covering, like I've covered, it is going to make less money on its opening debut at the box office than Captain America Brave New World's opening box office. So that's what I would say, how Marvel can fix the MCU. Okay, so I've given a lot of... that was a long rant, but Fireboy gave a very good question, so I felt like I had to talk about that. Give me a second. 1 hour and 1 hour and 15 minutes. Okay. Sony can allow it, Batman's Gamer. They just gotta make a good deal with it. I mean, make it seem like a good offer, and then, yeah, Sony will allow it. They will allow Daredevil, Charlie Cox's Daredevil, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man to cross over. Chris Thompson says, gotta head out for the night. I like your points, Eric. Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate that. We'll miss having you on the stream, Chris. Thank you very much for joining, buddy. I really do appreciate it. Forgot Echo existed. Exactly. I forgot it existed as well. Khan says, yeah, a 6-year break will probably do best for Marvel at this point. I've said after Endgame they should have had a 5-year break where they evaluated everything, let the buffet that people had essentially, let them, it's like there's one thing to keep stuffing yourself with this all-you-can-eat buffet, but you also need time to digest the food you had and just look back and say that was one good meal. But Marvel said, no, here are all these other courses we've made, and we made them much faster and they're not as good as the previous ones, but here, keep eating. And people have just got overfull and overstuffed, and now they're kind of just sick of it all, and they're just saying, we're done. We want to go over to DC, see what dessert they're making. Eric, do you think... Goat says, Eric, do you think Marvel will soft reboot or full reboot the MCU? I think they will... I think they'll soft reboot. I don't think they're going to want a full reboot. Anyway, we're now in the Q&A session. So, any questions you guys have, any super chats, any Streamlabs chats, I'll happily take any of them. It really does support the channel, so yeah. And if you do a Streamlabs chat, your name will pop up on the screen over here. So, yeah, that's I've customized it to do that. Fireboy says, I'm going to go now. Bye, and thanks for answering my question. No problem. That was a very detailed answer, but it was a very good question, so thank you, Fireboy. Take care, and thank you for joining the stream. I really appreciate it. Do you have any new people in the stream that haven't been here? I hate anime. I've not seen you in quite a bit. Unless I have and I've forgotten. But I normally don't forget. I remember all of you when you're normally on the streams. But I've gotten some new subscribers. I got about 100 subscribers recently, so... It's would be cool. It'd be cool to know if there's any new people in the stream. Anime says, yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, it has been. Big Bat says, Eric, did you activate the Nightfall protocol in Arkham Knight? Yes, I did, but I did not collect all the Riddler trophies. I didn't. But yes, I did. I did do. What was it? I did do the Nightfall Protocol. I played that whole game. Like I said, I just didn't collect all the Riddler trophies. But Arkham Knight, I played that game like crazy back in the time. Yeah, I spent so much time. No problem, Time Shadow. But yeah, that would be cool to get it at this point because the show's gonna end soon. I've not seen the last 2 episodes. I'm gonna try to get one of those, that first one out. Hopefully, yeah, very soon now. And then I'll send you the third one to do. Jess says, Eric, how dare you say that you don't care about Daredevil Born Again? It's better than Echo because that show was so boring. I know it's better than Echo, but anything was better than Echo. Daredevil Born Again is compared to other MCU shows, it's great. Compared to the Netflix Daredevil show, it's a massive disappointment. I'm sorry to say, bud. It really is so far. But I've not seen the 8th episode yet, so I can't say. Time Shadow, I don't think I did get your Instagram message. You got my email though, Time Shadow. If it's to do with for business reasons, I'd recommend just messaging me there. In regards to that time shadow, I just read it. I was going to credit you in the description. I was going to say edited by Time Shadow. If you want me to put your channel link there, I could do that. Yeah. JK says, I'm not a new subscriber, but I'm new to the live. Oh, cool. How did you find this video then? Did it just pop up on your recommendations and did you click it? I hope you've had a great time. I Hate Anime says, have you checked new Patreon members? I haven't. Let me take a look. Because I'm talking to you guys right now, so let's see. Oh, I Hate Anime became a member. Oh, wow. Thank you very much, buddy. You know what that means. Give me a second. I Hate Anime has become a patron member. So there you go. Your name is now forever placed right here. Jay says, yes, I love your videos and I've actually been commenting throughout the live. It did pop on notifications. Ah, but if you're not a subscriber, that means it... How did it pop up on your notifications if you're not a subscriber? I'm just curious. Please do let me know, and then I'll answer some of your questions too. Let's see. Electrify has done a $2 super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says, somehow my part 1 doesn't go off the rails. Are you talking about your script? Cool. I Hate Anime says, you deserve it, buddy. Thank you very, very much. I've said, if I have, like... I think I've said, if I have, like, 50 people who do the $10 perk on my Patreon, that'll be enough of an uptick this June for me to be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to continue YouTube full-time. Like, that's enough of a growth, right there. So that's ultimately the goal. Because I've said, if by the time it's my birthday this June, if I haven't reached, like, you know, like an uptick, I said I'm actually going to have to not do YouTube full-time anymore. So that's ultimately the goal, is to get that 50 patrons on the $10 perk. If that happens, that'll be cool. Then I'll be like, okay, that's good enough uptick. I'll continue doing it full time. I don't know if you guys noticed recently, but I've been uploading a lot of videos recently. Let's see, where did let's see, what is your next video? I'm not gonna tell you, you'll find out soon enough. G-Games says, question for TV show commissions. It can be almost any episodes, like pre-K shows, so long as it's nothing, so long as it's nothing sexual in nature or anything like that, then yeah, any episode, yeah. What is your next? I'm an old subscriber. Sorry if my comment sounded confusing. Oh, that JK, that's what you are, an old subscriber. Okay, right. Okay, I'm glad you're an old subscriber joining the stream. What video did you watch that made you subscribe? Out of curiosity. The Movie King says, episode 8 of Born Again is really good, and the first episode in Born Again that actually feels like it would have come straight from the Netflix show, as it was entirely made by the new creative team. Oh, cool. I've heard some issues with it. Like, the only one thing I've heard is that what happened to Foggy in the first episode is referenced here, and people are saying, but why wasn't it referenced in all the episodes prior? Like, only now. People said you could tell it's a reshoot in that way, that they've reshot it. Oh, you guys have noticed that I've been making a lot more videos recently. Eric, how many people actually have done the $10 Patreon perk? Oh wow, Big Bash and Khan have asked that. Let me take a look. Because a lot of people do tend to go for it, but then they tend to be on and off, but then they come back to it. Can I find out on my phone here, or maybe on the computer it wants me to check that kind of thing. Yes, I would say that, Josh, man, that they do need to get better writing. That's a big thing. JK says, your Justice League video of Zack Snyder versus Joss Whedon, but I didn't have a YouTube account by then. I was watching your verse videos by then. Oh, cool. That was a long time ago then. So you just had a YouTube channel again recently. Thank you very much for that, buddy. I appreciate that. You really are like a long time subscriber, so thanks. Let me take a look how much people have done that perk, the $10 perk. Audience active. Here we go. Right now there are 6. There was 7, but right now there are 6 members on that perk. Sarah is one of them. I'll shout you guys out. JC is one of them. Big Bash is one of them. Sarah is one. The G Gamer is another. Jolie the Nighthawk is another. And Justin Reed, aka the Movie King 3000. No side, I've not heard of the new theme park opening. Eric, in your own words, what is the main reason Marvel has been suffering through lazy writing, and why do they keep having lazy writers? They keep doing. I see it say they write it very quickly. They don't seem to be giving them time to write properly, and they're also hiring people that are inexperienced. Just look at the She-Hulk writers. It's like they had no reason to be anywhere near the Marvel officers, but they were. So yeah. Yeah, Movie King, I'm aware of that, but it's like still they should have reshot maybe some scenes, because one scene they reshot was also a scene with Frank, when Frank and Matt meet each other again for the first time in this show. That was a new scene as well, because they referenced the first episode. So they should have integrated more scenes in there where Matt was upset, but they didn't. So it was weird. So we'll see how it goes. Oh, they're opening a Universal Studio in UK Bedfordshire. Oh, wow, interesting. Oh, cool. Big Bass says, Eric, did you watch the Ben 10 Alien Force premiere when it came out? Yes, I did. When I was a kid, we were eagerly waiting for it, because there was a huge mystery around Alien Force. And it was cool to see Ben and Gwen older, and we were older as well. I was 15 when it came out, so yeah, it was really cool. Okay, so like I said, if we get 10 $10 super chats, this stream will go on for longer. So if that is something anyone wants to contribute towards, then that will extend the stream. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but if it does, then it does. Hey Eric, did you laugh at the April Fool's joke I put on Patreon? Don't think I... Yeah, I did look at it actually. I can't remember it though. Gary Lux says, how far are you in making the Sonic Versus video? I'm still writing it. So, the scripts, man, that's the thing. Scripts are the longest part of the process. After that, I can edit it, and that usually is quicker. But the scripts take the longest part. Look at my Puss in Boots versus video, how long it took me to do that, amongst all the other videos I was doing. So yeah, I'm still doing the Snow White versus video as well. The story segment on the Snow White video is the longest segment, and I've pretty much got that down. And then hopefully the Snow White and other segments will be done as well. Yeah, G-Gamer, once he asks me for it, he hasn't asked me for it. Even King of the Monsters 2021 has got another Godzilla review, and he's still not decided. We've talked on Patreon privately recently, and yeah, he's still deciding. So I said, whenever you decide, let me know, and I'll write that down. Joshman says, Eric, do you think the Spider-Verse movies utilize the PG rating to the fullest? And can you think of a couple of animated movies recently that have utilized the PG rating? I don't think they use the PG rating to its fullest. If anything, I think Puss in Boots 2 used the PG rating to its fullest more than Spider-Verse did, because the big bad wolf was freaky in that. There was also like some really like brutal death scenes in there, like when one person like gets eaten to the bone. I was like, whoa, that surprised me. So I'd say Puss in Boots 2 actually did it more. Goat says, I first watched you in 2021, but I subscribed in 2024. Well, the fact that you were still watching me and you probably didn't subscribe at that point. Hang on, let me see. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you're part of my loyal and loving community. So, yeah, I'm super glad. Yeah, Puss in Boots. You're right, Big Bash. Puss in Boots 2 also had Puss bleeding, which I don't think we've ever seen any blood in these Shrek films. Like I said, that's the first one where you actually see the first of the movies in this franchise where they drew blood. They drew a tear in the second movie when Puss stepped on a donkey, but yeah, they didn't do anything else after that. Goat says, when do you think Swamp Thing will come out? I don't know. We're waiting on James Mangold. It's all on him. He has to write the script that he's happy with, and then we'll probably get it. But I think even if he does write a script, I don't think it's going to happen until we see how the Superman movie does. But Superman, there's a lot riding on the company, on the studio for Superman, so that needs to do well. Big Bash says, I remember you said Donkey looked like he had a prostate exam in the Shrek 5 teaser. Yeah, that's exactly how it looked from where I was standing. JK says, I think Marvel should do a soft reboot, structure themselves like Star Wars, and put self-contained stories and arcs between Street Avengers and comic level that are connected once every few years. Yeah, I think so as well. The Movie King says, The Last of Us got renewed for a season 3, so I guess they are only adapting part of The Last of Us Part 2 for the show, as I think they'll do that thing in the last episode of season 2. If they do that, that'll be great. But I hope he's in it a lot. Because I didn't like how they did it in the game, which was the complete opposite. G Gamer says, I remember Shrek 2 used to be rated G. Yeah, it was rated U in the UK, which means universal, which basically means your G rating. So yeah. Cosmic level, said JK. And cosmic, yeah, okay, yeah, I get you, yeah. Also, did you hear about the Minecraft movie madness in theaters? Says Movie King. I have. That is so weird. That was insane. I would not have been happy if that happened to me. Gary Loke says, you heard rumors of Meryl Streep as Aslan. Even if Hollywood point the finger on being sexist, everyone will always remember Aslan as a male. Yeah, I don't know why they did that. Meryl Streep is a great actress, but Aslan has that very commanding male voice. For them to change that, it's like you're changing stuff for the sake of changing it. Like, Greta Gerwig, what are you doing? Yeah, the chicken jockey was weird. I've not played Minecraft, so I'm not even sure about it in that way, if you personally. Did you hear that the Minecraft movie got released? Like, it's available out there apparently on the internet to download, and it's an unfinished version of the movie where the effects are not complete. That also happened. I was surprised to hear that. Joshman says, Eric, I did read your comment on the Electric State review, and you said it best. The Russo brothers got to clean up their act, and I feel like Doomsday and Secret Wars are going to fail. They need to clean up their act, but the thing is, they're not in an easy situation. They're in a much harder situation than they were before, because the MCU is just a mess. So it's like you're making these characters, basing a movie off of these characters that people don't care about. So that's going to be a big issue, that is. No go, I don't use that Stream.io. I don't use Stream.io. I've heard other people use it, but I've not used it. I use Streamlabs. But if I'm given a reason that's to use Stream.io, then I'll use it. But right now I'm just using this. Superman does have more promotion than Fantastic Four, yeah. And the trailers are knocking it out of the park a lot more than the Fantastic Four trailers. I Hate Anime says, looking behind the scenes of the Minecraft movies, the sets look great, but the movie looks like they underused them. Yeah, from what I've seen in the trailer, it looks like it's just non-stop CGI that they use. Green screens all the time is what it looks like. Goat says, it's an app where you can watch a lot of movies and shows. I use it. It's amazing. Ah, okay. Cool. The G Gamer says, kind of shocked Toy Story was able to keep its G rating, even the fourth movie. I'm surprised the first movie was able to keep it. I think the first Toy Story movie was the scariest of all of them. There was just something... just had a bit more of a darker edge to it, that one did. I always noticed that. And that doll that had Sid shaved the head off, that was always a freaky thing to me, that was. '90s CGI was terrifying, yep. Big Bash says, Eric, what do you like more, physical media or streaming? Physical media, of course. Quality's better, lasts forever. They can't take your movie from you, your physical movie or whatever from you, but they can if you get it digitally. The Logman says, have you seen those? I have seen those, buddy. I've seen them. Yeah, they are insane. Killix, great to see you, buddy. Killick, he says, hey, sorry for being late if you already started. I've not started. Oak Charleston has joined late as well. I'm sorry, guys. I really wish you guys were here at the beginning, but I've finished the stories, so you'll have to check back to see them. We had a lot of stuff to talk about, and I talked about a lot of topics in this stream. Gary Loke says, have you always wondered why Buzz freezes when he thought he was a real space ranger on the first Toy Story? No, I've not wondered why he freezes. It was clear that he was kind of going through like a midlife crisis, like an identity crisis, so it made sense to me. Yeah, I don't know, Big Bash, if I'd want to see that. Goat says Lantern's finished filming its pilot episode. Oh, cool. Well, let's hope it's doing a good. Let's hope it's good, and then we might get it late next year or early 2027. Do you guys agree that Terminator 2 had terrifying CGI? Yeah, I thought it was terrifyingly good CGI, is what I thought. It was really good CGI. It's coming out in early 2026. Is that confirmed? Let me take a look. Is expected to premiere in early 2026. Production is scheduled to begin on February 10th. While no exact release date has been confirmed, there you go. No exact release date has been confirmed, but this is speculations. So yeah. Well, if they're speculating it's early 2026, then maybe it could happen in the fall of 2026. Kind of like how The Penguin happened in the fall, I think, when it came out. Or like Peacemaker Season 2 is coming out in the fall. So yeah. How cool is that, by the way, that a month after Superman, we're going to get Peacemaker Season 2. Which I think takes place after Superman, I think. That's cool. Yeah, Josh, man, I am aware of that. You're like the third person to tell me that on this stream. It is insane. I would not like that. I think I've posted about it on my Instagram, so if you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll see me talk about these things and these announcements and things when they come. So head on over there, because I post a lot in my stories, a lot of new things that I've seen, new bits of info. So head on over there, follow me on Instagram, and you'll find that. Also, I'm going to start uploading more stuff to TikTok as well, so be sure to follow me on TikTok too, because I'm going to be doing more... I'm going to try to be more active on those in the coming days or weeks. Seriously, David Cornsweat used to make videos on YouTube. David Cornsweat official has only got 816 subscribers. How many videos? He's got 100. Look at that. He's got 107 videos on the channel, and only 3 of them are visible, unless the others are all shorts. Ah, they're probably shorts. That's probably no. I don't think these are 100 shorts. So yeah, I think a lot of videos. I think he's unlisted them maybe. Yeah. Will you have a wait? You have a TikTok? Yeah, G Gamer, I do. Have you ever looked in the description of my videos? I put all my social medias there, so I'm on Facebook too, which I don't use as often, but I do share my videos on there. So be sure to head on over. I do want to use. I do want to use TikTok more and YouTube Shorts more, so I'm gonna try to use that more soon. Yeah, but I've just got a lot of videos to do. You guys know how busy I am. I'm like I said, still working on that Nintendo one. I'm working on another versus video on the side that I'm not telling you guys about. I've got another one planned that I'm not telling you guys about. So yeah, a lot of stuff. Oh, that's not the channel. Oh, I must have got the wrong one then. Yeah, I can't find it. I hear Anime says I liked your short trailer reactions. Oh, you mean on my TikTok and stuff? My the shorts when I put them up there, like trailer reactions and episode reactions and things. Yeah. But I mean like actual shorts, like from like snippets from my actual videos and things. I'm thinking of doing that. Yeah, Gary Loke, I do like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. They're really fun. The first two were. I like stuff in the third movie, but that was okay. It was a mess. They got too crazy with it. But yeah, the fourth one didn't care about at all. Fifth one, I thought that was nothing special. Not as bad as the fourth. And yeah, I just really look at the first two mainly. G Gamer says, I see you posted Megamind 2, lol. Yeah, I know. Khan says, well, Eric, guess be doing YouTube full time after June, but the videos were fun. He's deleted that now, but I've read it already. Yeah, here's hoping. I'm putting a lot of work into hopefully making it, work out. I'm thinking of doing maybe affiliates soon, and if you guys support that way, it's basically you guys just doing your shopping as you normally do, but just doing it through my links, and that will also help. So I'm gonna try to do that as well. And if it doesn't work out, like I said, I'm gonna have to find something else to do. But I did thoroughly enjoy this. This is like the dream job, making content for you guys. Mod and Jerry, whether that's the channel. I don't know. This doesn't look like it's his YouTube channel. It looks like some weird anime thing. Oh, Mo and Jerry. Oh, okay. Let's see. Oh, right. Yeah. Wow, he's so much younger then. And he's got 1.1 thousand subscribers. It's funny to see where he was during like the release of Batman vs Superman 10 years ago, and to see where he is now. I bet he never knew he was going to get the Superman role. Josh, man, I think it was very bad what the audience members did when they were screaming in the theater like that. That was too much for Minecraft, how they were screaming in the theaters. Yeah, Big Bash, I am getting tired of seeing Jack Black and everything. For me, it really broke me when he was in The Mandalorian Season 3. That is where I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. Okay, we're going to end the stream in 10 minutes, so if there's any other questions you have, now's the time. No, Charleston, I've not watched Invincible Season 3 yet, but when I do, I'm thinking of putting it on my Patreon, like I'm doing with my Daredevil Born Again right now. Reactions. Big Bash says, Eric, what is the worst theatre experience you had with the audience? It was when I watched The Woman in Black. They were loud. There was a woman behind me who was repeating the lines that Daniel Radcliffe was saying. It was not a fun audience experience. That felt like an American audience experience. And after being noisy at the very end when the movie was over, they all clapped, which was so weird. Sai says he's eating crisps right now. I don't know what time it is for you, but it's 12:34 p.m. for me right now. Sorry, a.m. in the morning. What was the best movie experience you had? Said Charleston. Bizarrely, it was watching. Bizarrely, the best experience I had watching a movie in the theater was watching Harry Potter 5. Enjoyed that movie, watched it with my mum, but the reason why it was the best experience is because the audience was so well behaved, and that was truly where you feel the power of watching a movie in the theater, where you have a whole audience there and you all enjoy the movie at the same time. Even when people are laughing, it was a very gentle, like little gentle rumble of laughter in the theater. It wasn't loud or disruptive or anything. It was just very respectful. It was full, the theater, and everyone was on their best behavior, and everyone was there to enjoy this movie, and it was so fun. And it was a fun Harry Potter movie. Not the best translation from the books, but it was great. It really was. I had a phenomenal time. I did. I Ain't Anime said the only somewhat loud experience I had was Deadpool Wolverine. Yeah, thankfully that didn't happen when I saw the movie. At least I don't remember it did. Yeah, Josh, man, I don't really particularly care for that movie. I'm looking at other movies right now, but we'll see what happens. Sasha. Hey everyone, seems like Sasha is a new member to these live streams. Thank you very much for joining the live stream, Sasha. Really appreciate it. I don't know when you entered the live stream, but we're going to end it in about 10 minutes, so I'm glad you came in, like, at least while we're still streaming. Look at that, you're getting, the chat is already saying hi to you. Ah, interesting, Crazy Cat Lady. She goes, I read Jurassic Park. Surprisingly, the owner of the Jurassic Park didn't care about Grandpa. Oh, really? Interesting. Saeed says, oh yeah, what about the video you made about Gal Gadot? There was a lot of controversy comments. Yeah, there was a lot of controversy comments. There was some which were still respectful, even though they disagreed with me. Um, but yeah, it was. Thing is, I've never made a dedicated political video. This kind of was one, but it was inescapable because they were obviously trying to throw Rachel Zegler under the bus, and I noticed it was unfair the way they were doing it, so I called it out. But normally I don't do a dedicated political video, and I don't really intend to, so that was a one-off. Usually I drop little bits of it in my videos, but not all the time, and I don't do a dedicated video, but this time I did. Sasha says, hi chat, I love Eric Carter. Oh, I'm glad. How long have you been watching my videos, out of curiosity? Have you been a subscriber for a long time? The G Game says, I won't say what, but there was a comment that was just a delusional from that video. Won't say what it was. Yeah, there were some, and I had to, give them like dead proper answers. Oh, Sasha says she's been subscribed for years. Oh wow, I've been doing. This is like my 70th live stream. I don't think I've ever seen you in the in the stream. Um, so that's why I think I wasn't quite aware. And I don't think I've seen comments too. Let's see, secret subber. She says. Okay, I see. What video did you watch that made you subscribe to me? I'm curious. I always like to ask my viewers this question when they're subscribed. Deadwolf says, going to get going now. Had a great stream tonight. See you and everybody next week. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate it that you joined the stream. We're going to be ending soon anyway in about 5 minutes, so I'm glad you dropped in. Take care, bud. Sasha says, I usually don't say stuff. That's fair enough. Big Bash says, Eric, have you considered making a gaming channel? Not really, but I have considered doing game streaming. Goat says, will you ever make vlogs again? I don't know. I don't think so. thing is, I don't like to put a camera on everything in my life. I feel like I'm recording a lot, videos a lot and things. I've been recording myself watching movies and shows lately, and putting them on Patreon and YouTube members. I feel like I want some time to myself as well. So you need to strike a good balance. So, but yeah, I do want to do some game streaming at some point, but I've just not gotten the time to do so yet. Sasha says, I love you breaking down movies piece by piece in a logical way. Oh, thanks. That means a lot. That's the goal, ultimately, whenever I'm doing them, especially the Versus videos. Just recently, I did The Electric State, because that movie was directed by the Russo brothers, who are making Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, and they made a terrible movie that most people don't even like. And I just made a video on that recently. Where is... I Hate Anime says, first video was Godzilla vs. Kong, then I watched some old videos, then I subbed. Oh, great, I Hate Anime, I'm glad. I like hearing those kind of stories when you watch one, then you watch a few others, and then that got you to subscribe. That's cool. I like those stories, so thanks. Let's see. Which 2027 movie are you excited for the most? The Batman Part 2 or Sonic 4? The Batman Part 2, without a doubt. There's no question. I love Batman so much, and that's the one I'm the most looking forward to. So yeah. Just a reminder to anyone who does any kind of donations or super chats or Streamlabs chats, the link to Streamlabs is in the description and pinned in the comment section. And if you ask a question, you'll get your name flash up on the screen, and a nice animation will pop up too. And all the donation you do goes to me in that way. Any of your donations go to me that way. If you do it through YouTube, they'll take a small percentage, but yeah. And like I say, any support is always appreciated. Big Bash says, who do you think has better villains, Marvel or DC? DC has better villains, I think. But then again, Marvel's got great villains too. But I would say DC because it has Batman, and his villains are the best out of all the villains out there, inside and outside of comic book franchises. G Gamer says, pick your poison, Joss Whedon or M. Night Shyamalan? Joss Whedon. M. Night Shyamalan, I feel like Joss Whedon, I feel like if people tell him not to do the silly jokes he does, maybe. But I don't know, it is a hard question, but yeah, I'll just pick him, the lesser of two evils when it comes to that, I think. JK says, I heard rumours that Matt Reeves might have health problems, and that's why the script isn't finished for Batman 2. I've heard that too, that he's got serious health problems. Either him or someone he knows has serious health problems. That's what I've heard. So yeah, that's unfortunate, but it would make sense why the studio is so lenient towards him if he's got health problems. But yeah, that's sad to hear if that's the case. Batman 235, what do you say? James Gunn's Superman is a sci-fi movie with jaw-dropping action and in spirit of the Christopher Reeve movies. It's a true blast Superman movie. That sounds like you've done the review before seeing the movie, so I'm not quite as hyped yet. I'm more hyped by what I'm seeing in the trailers. If you describe those, that could get me more hyped. Like, yo, the trailer is this and it's that, and it shows this and that side of Superman. That will get me hyped. But you gave like a review for a movie you've not seen, and that's like that's premature. It doesn't feel like the hype is there. So if you do that, that will get me hyped. Oh, that's what I said by Warner Brothers. I thought you said that you were trying to hype me up. Oh, well, nothing hypes me up when they say it, because they always say this kind of stuff. You know, I'm sure they were saying great stuff about Joker 2 as well. Look how that turned out. What are your top 3 favorite Batman animated movies? I love Batman Under the Red Hood, Mask of the Phantasm, and what's a third one? The Dark Knight Returns I thought was good. Those are off the top of my head, but if I thought about it more, maybe there'll be others, but those are the 3 that I can think of. Sasha says, Jennifer Lawrence shaved her bush in Australia was created. Okay. Big Bash says, Eric, did you see the 2007 Transformers movie when it came out? Yes, I did. I saw it in theaters with my dad. I thought it was okay, I thought. I liked it better when I watched it again later. On home video at the time. On DVD. Oh, look at that. We've reached the 2-hour point. Okay, no, Josh, man, I've not seen the Minecraft movie, but I was thinking of doing a video on it, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, guys, that's basically it. Thank you very much for for joining me on this live stream. I really appreciate it. I love chatting with you guys as always. And now I'm gonna just get to clipping some parts of this stream, and then I'm gonna do a couple things, then get some sleep and rest. So thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it for watching this stream. Thank you for your donations, for those of you that donated. And as always, like I said, through Streamlabs you can donate anytime, so you don't have to do it just on the streams. And if you do, I'll then answer your question in the next live stream if you want to do it that way. So thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And with that, I will catch all of you on the next live stream. And thanks to I Hate Anime for becoming a patron as well. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, all of you, and thanks Sasha for joining the stream. Hopefully we'll see you on the next live stream, or comment on another one of my videos when you see them. So always love to interact with new viewers, so, or people that I've not seen before and they seem like new viewers. So take care everyone, I'll catch you soon. Take care.